What's up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks so much for being here, for being subscribed. If you're not, go ahead and hit that button. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, hit that like button. It's like walking into the room and hitting that light switch. We just want to go ahead and brighten up the place. So let's get into this podversation. I haven't talked about Lizzo lately, but as you know, this lawsuit is moving forward against her by some of her former backup dancers. And now it's being revealed that 14 of her dancers received a settlement for a separate dispute months before the harassment lawsuit. So this story is coming from Pitchfork. And it says that months before, 3 dancers sued Lizzo for sexual harassment. 14 of the singer's dancers received a separate settlement relating to footage that appeared in the 2022 documentary Love, Lizzo. The Los Angeles Times reports the dancers' manager raised the dispute in January, saying the dancers' intimate discussion of how misogyny, weight shaming, and racism affect them was used unauthorized. The manager, Slay Smiles, said the documentary had truly exploited these women and violated the emotional safety they had in those moments. A group including the co-production company Boardwalk Pictures and a Lizzo entity settled the dispute in February after a dancer hired an attorney, according to the LA Times. Documentary makers shot the footage in 2019 when Lizzo and the dancers were rehearsing for the MTV Video Music Awards. Smiles has said no contract was offered to the dancers for the behind-the-scenes footage, which was not covered by their union contract for the VMAs. Alan Brunswick, an attorney for the co-producer Boardwalk Pictures, countered that the footage in the documentary was captured openly and with consent. He told the Times they all knew the cameras were there. I don't think the documentary was even contemplated at that point. The dancers were unaware that the behind-the-scenes footage would be used in the documentary until a clearance producer emailed to offer each dancer $350 plus a 10% agency fee to appear. Sources close to the dancers told the Times. Smiles said he advocated for the dancers and helped secure a total payout of $109,551. That's between $7,000 to $7,500 for each dancer. So you see how they tried to lowball these people, right? They just shot them an email and said, hey, we have this documentary coming out. We've got footage of you. We'll give you $350 plus a 10% agency fee. So these people really smart to not sign anything agreeing to that and getting their own protection because they got way more than what they were being offered. And that's what I was talking about in another conversation when it comes to contracts. Most of the times, when companies offer you something and they have you sign a contract, you better believe it's more so in their favor and to cover and protect themselves. It's not for you. So hindsight is always 20/20. You don't know what you don't know. But when you know, you have somebody review that. You get an attorney and you have them review it before you agree to any of that because they were going to shaft these people. Okay? So Lizzo's attorney, Martin Singer, told the Times Lizzo had nothing to do with it and knew nothing about it. None of the 14 dancers who received the settlement are involved in the harassment lawsuit. As well as the Lizzo entity and Boardwalk Pictures, the settlement was signed by Greenway Pictures, Warner Music Group Productions, and Live Nation Productions. The Times reports it included a non-disparagement and confidentiality clause barring the dance artists from discussing the settlement with third parties. Some 6 months after that settlement, Lizzo's recent legal troubles began, and 3 dancers filed a lawsuit early this month alleging they were sexually harassed and weight shamed. And Lizzo said the false allegations were as unbelievable as they sound and too outrageous to not be addressed. So now, according to Daily News, she is planning to countersue the backup dancers who filed this harassment lawsuit. So newly surfaced photos appear to show the trio of dancers happily carousing, that's what the article is saying, and gleefully reveling with performers from a topless cabaret show in Paris. And Lizzo's attorney, Marty Singer, told this to TMZ. The photos were allegedly taken in early March 2023 during the first European leg of Lizzo's special tour. According to the Grammy winner's attorney, those images contradict claims dancers felt pressured to go to the topless show in Paris, as alleged in the lawsuit. The singer performed to a sold-out crowd at Paris's Accor Arena in March 2023, just days after a now infamous visit to Bananen Bar, an erotic bar and strip club in Amsterdam's red light district. According to the lawsuit, the 35-year-old artist invited cast members to take turns touching the nude performers, catching things launched from the performer's private area, and eating bananas protruding from the performer's private area. That's just disgusting. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm not even going to go into that. She was there with the toys, shall we say, adult toys, and the bananas, and the dancers' private areas. The dancer's attorney, Naima Ramani, told the Daily News earlier this month. She's the one that asked everyone to go, and everyone felt pressure to go to get along with Lizzo. Lizzo's accusers claimed they were also pressured to go to the show in Paris, but the pop star's attorney suggests the photos contradict their story. Singer also said other substantial evidence, including a video in which Davis gushed over Lizzo and which was reportedly recorded after the Paris incident, will help prove the glaring contradictions between what the plaintiffs claim in their lawsuit and what is actually proven by the facts. Lizzo, whose real name is Melissa Vivian Jefferson, has vehemently denied the accusations against her, calling them too outrageous to not be addressed. These sensationalized stories are coming from former employees who have already publicly admitted that they were told their behavior on tour was inappropriate and unprofessional. According to her attorney, Lizzo plans to sue the dancers for malicious prosecution after she prevails in their sham lawsuit. And also, it's being reported that the dancers committed to additional tour dates after the harassment was alleged. So the report is that the dancers each re-signed for a third leg of Lizzo's tour in early April, according to a signed agreement and an email. A contract signed April 11th showed David and Williams agreed to remain on retainer for the singer's international shows through July 31st. An email dated April 4th states that a representative for Rodriguez accepted an agreement for the same dates. Marty Singer, the attorney for Lizzo, said in a statement Tuesday that the plaintiff's complaints included a range of factual inaccuracies. Clearly, even at the early stage of the process, their case has been irreparably damaged. The dancers' attorneys, though, said that they were confident in the dancer's suit and that the contract agreements do not change the facts of the lawsuit. The plaintiffs merely wanted to keep their jobs until they finally had enough of the abuse. They were brave enough to come out with their stories, and they don't plan to back down in the face of these bullying tactics by Lizzo's attorney. The lawyers also noted that they have spoken to more potential plaintiffs. Listen, guys, the court of public opinion is always going to be there. You never really know what's going to happen if it makes it to court. I now see this is still in the early stages. So even though she's claiming that she's going to be countersuing them for malicious prosecution, which is, I don't even know how that could be, because she has not been prosecuted. This is not a criminal case. This is a civil suit. So I don't even know how she could sue them for malicious prosecution. I mean, I believe you could try to sue someone for filing a frivolous lawsuit, but I wouldn't call this a frivolous lawsuit. Now, it is definitely up to the opinion of the court if it gets there, and a jury, again, if it gets there, if this would be seen as frivolous, because as we know, there are people who have worked on jobs that have been under a lot of pressure. They have been sexually harassed. They have been, dealing with racial tension and all kinds of different things, but people need to pay their bills. So a lot of times people will try to overlook things, go to work, do what they got to do, get in the car and cry about it or curse somebody out or do what they got to do, pray through it, whatever they have to do to make it to the next day and go back to work again. So the argument that she's trying to bring up about how they had signed on for additional tour dates, well, I mean, if they needed the money, they probably were willing to work under those conditions. So it's easy for people to say, well, if it was that bad, then why would they do it? It's definitely something that you can say, you can question, but it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. And honestly, Lizzo just isn't looking very likable. A lot of people came out that had worked with her before to say, no, I'm not a part of this lawsuit, but I can attest to the fact that she definitely is this way, or she is hard to work with. She is pretty terrible. Like, a lot of people have said a number of things about her when it comes to working with her in the past. And it doesn't sound like she really has the etiquette to be an employer, because just some of the things that have been said and done, you can't do as an employer. You just can't. I've been an employer not very long, only since about 2012. It's been a longer time than some people, but even with that being said, I had to quickly learn a lot of the ropes of being a boss and being an employer. It's not easy. You're not supposed to be fraternizing with the people that you work with. I'm not saying that you don't reward them, you don't take them out to dinners, you don't celebrate them, and sometimes you may have parties or whatever, and y'all might, have a few drinks around each other or let a little loose, depending on what your definition of that is. But letting loose by taking them to a pretty much a sex bar, sex dungeon, if you will, and encouraging people to do, like, you can't do that. I'm sorry. You just can't. And covering yourselves with having them sign NDAs and whatever is not even going to fly, because there are laws in place in this country when it comes to employees. And I've said this before, and it is the truth. In the country we live in, even though a lot of times it may not seem like it is more worker or employee friendly, it really is. And it's not even so much so it is about the employees, because the country that we live in, it's really about money. So they have agencies in state and federal in place to cover workers and to cover employees. And it's more so for themselves, meaning those government agencies, whether it's state or federal, where if something happens, then they can fine the company, even though it may not make any sense, because it's like, well, why are you fining this company all of this money and none of the money is going to the people that you claim were the victims? It's really set up for these government agencies to make more money. But they put a lot of laws in place when it comes to labor laws to cover and protect employees. And yeah, these people may be independent contractors and they're not getting a W-2, but ultimately they're working for her company. They're working for her organization. I get those labor law posters in the mail all of the time. And it's like, didn't I just get new posters? But they're constantly updating things. So Lizzo, she doesn't sound like she knows how to be an employer. She may know how to dance, twerk, play the flute, be naked. I mean, but she just doesn't sound like she knows how to be an employer. And so to countersue these people for malicious prosecution, to me, sounds like you're trying to show vengeance. And I don't know if that's going to make things better for her. I don't know how this is all going to shake out. I don't see it getting to the courts. I see that there will probably be some settlement negotiations, possibly mediation, but I don't know if it's going to make it to the courts, because if it does, I don't really see it going in her favor. But again, we don't know all of the facts yet. We just know what's been already put out there. And just based on what's already been put out there, just doesn't look favorable for her, especially when you want to turn around and say, I'm going to countersue them for malicious prosecution. To me, that just sounds like you're just trying to seek revenge because you're pissed off and you're mad and you're angry and you feel like, how dare they? They're so entitled. They're this, they're that, they're whatever. But she's not a very nice person, just based on, it's the thing about the body positivity or whatever, and not wanting people to say anything negative about you. And then you want to be the victim all the time. But then when someone puts information out there about you that isn't favorable, then you want to clap back, and doing it in a way that just doesn't even make sense. Malicious prosecution doesn't even make any sense to me. But again, she's being advised by an attorney, and that attorney, I'm quite sure, is making great money. So if these are things that are going to just help rack up the billable hours and the retainer, then it sounds like another law firm like the one that's representing Cardi B, that just constantly has this person that has this money doing all of these different filings and doing all of these different things so that they can make more money. All right. But anyway, guys, you can let me know what you think about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for being here, for liking and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until the next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful. And now I'm going to say bye.